Hello and welcome to the first episode of Season 2 of the Excalibur Podcast. I'm Phil Darlington.
And I'm Mike Scholars.
And today we will be discussing the security on the York University campus. If you tuned in to our last segment where we went around the campus and actually interviewed students to see what their thoughts were on the campus level of security after the more recent incidents, the several assaults and the homicide of Chen Liu in the village, they gave us sort of their points. Some were saying that they were a little bit, they felt a little bit safer, and others said they'd kind of like to see some improvements.
And we carry that on today by talking to Wallace Pigeon, the Associate Director of Media Relations at York University. And we talked to the acting VP of Students, Joanne Duclis, to just see what the administration is doing to keep York students safe.
Mm-hmm. And I also touched base with Wendy Drummond of 31 Division, which is the division of the Toronto Police that is in charge for our campus and the surrounding area.
We get the sense, and we're setting the scene, you haven't heard from Excalibur in the podcast world since February, since we did our Black History Month podcast, and things have changed on our campus. At the start of April, to break it down, we had the 3 male students assaulting a female student, a female in the right outside the Absinthe pub on campus, which we just found out, by the way. Toronto police have dropped charges against those 3 males. Later on in April, we had the tragic death of Chen Liu in the village, and this past week we had a female sexually assaulted twice by the same man on the Seneca York building, and then 2 men sexually assaulting a female at knife point near the village in a field. This is a trend. This is upsetting, and while not all of this is happening on the campus, all of this is happening in our neighborhood.
Yeah, I think for many it's hard to imagine or hard to feel the impact of this if it happens further away from where they go to school, where they work, where they live. But because this is all of a sudden hitting so close to home, and this is all seems to come all at once, there's so many incidents, it's really sort of struck a chord with students and faculty, and trying to think of ways to stay safer on and around our campus.
And if they can't feel safe here, where can they feel safe? I mean, this is home to thousands, and
exactly.
It feels like a home invasion. One, if you want to extend it to everyone in the village being their home, someone died there in a really wrong fashion, and what do you do about that? Mm-hmm. Well, that's the question we asked administration. Let's hear what they're going to do.
We're doing the best that we can, okay. And I've been here 2 months. I'm a dad. Yeah. I have a daughter, and that might not mean something to students who, what are you, like 21 or something like that?
I'm 23.
There you go. So 23. So that, parenthood and family, and that might be the farthest thing from some of the students.
But I'm sure you hear about these young women being attacked, and you can only think of your own.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have been vigilant. I mean, I don't want to break away and delve into, but personal, but I will for these purposes right here, and that is, these are ugly acts and heinous acts and just wrongful acts, and I say this with all confidence, Mike, that a campus of 54,000 students, a campus that also includes another 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 faculty, staff, and administration, whether it's grounds crew through to the most senior professor, whether it's from the president's office right down through to you or I talking. Everybody within the on-campus York University community and everybody within the greater York University campus, hardworking, law-abiding citizens that are mindful of safety and security to begin with. People aren't perfect. I understand that, and I don't want to speak in generalities here. But as a dad, and as a person that's only been here for 2 months, I see a lot of good that is taking place on campus, and a lot of concern, and that when an incident happens, we might not necessarily, you might not necessarily see it as a reporter or an editor-in-chief, but I just want to assure you and your readers that people not only are acting, that there has been action going on for a number of years. And it's not just cause, and it's not just predicated because of incidents. It is because that safety and security is a priority to those people to begin with.
All right. So
Other than really, in all honesty and seriousness, when you think about campus life and when you think about the experience of university, academic life and academic standards and student life are right up there, and you should never, ever, ever have to, worry about your safety. And I think even though the incidents of the past month, the three on campus, the 2 on campus and the one involving the York student, very horrible and tragic death, are top of mind, that things like the safety audit, the METRAC safety audit, is taken seriously. The thing like increasing dollars into safety and security is taken seriously and is acted upon. Last year, I'm just finding this out myself. An extra $9 million into safety and security. That's an increase of $500,000 over the year before. So there are millions upon millions of dollars going into safety and security right here on campus.
Okay, so that $9 million, what specifically is that going into?
It's going to, and I'll flip you a fact sheet.
Cool.
But it's going into safety and security cameras. So I believe that there's over 600 now on campus. That over 200 on-campus safety phones are now.
I'm sorry. So the 600 cameras will be installed, or
no? They are.
Those were recently installed.
Yeah, they have been installed over the past number of years. So
okay.
there has been ongoing. I believe it's an extra 25 coming online this.
The reason I'm going for the specifics is, as you said before, this should be a learning environment, and yet overwhelmingly the student populace is scared, so they want to know what, in the nitty-gritty of what's being done.
Well, I understand that sentiment. And I want to reassure you that, first things, the York campus, if we just look at the York campus, incidents that take place against people are, in and around the area, are 8 times higher. So the Jane and Finch,
based on when?
This past year, 2010 numbers. So coming out of 31 division. These are 31 divisions. So 31 division will say that the area to the west, the area to the south, the area to the east has an incident rate 8 times higher than anything that takes place on York University's campus. As far as citywide.
Yep.
It's 7 times greater. So that includes the entire city of Toronto is 7 times higher than the rate of incidents on campus. So all this is public documentation on the safety security website. Over the past 2 years, comprehensive upgrade to all emergency phones. York now has over 220 emergency phones on campus.
Okay.
So that includes the blue phones that are now standardized and accessible.
That's 220?
Yes.
Okay.
Standardized and accessible. There have been safety phones that have been installed over the past 2 years in classrooms with direct lines to security control, to the Security Control Center.
Okay.
So 600 CCTV closed-circuit television cameras have been added over the past number of years. There is a force of York Security Services of 24, as well as 22 Residence Watch security officials, staff. Apparently, that core security staff could be increased by as much as 40%. And so these new officers will allow us to increase our existing levels of patrol. So it's that kind of money that's being spent for those kinds of upgrades as well. There's going to be there's 25